good evening. I'm on my way into work. I had a wonderful day so far. I got up early, and I did 45 minutes of yoga and stretching. I listened to coaching sessions from Growth Day while I was getting ready and took my supplements. And then I journaled for half an hour. I read my positive and inspirational reading. I made my lunch. And I'm having my protein shake. I would love to get together tomorrow. I have tomorrow evening off. I do have an appointment. I can't remember if it's at 3 or 4. I need to look. It's a telephone appointment, however, so I can be driving somewhere to meet up with you girls to do something just to get together. And so I'm down for getting together tomorrow afternoon. So just let me know. I need to look at, there's a book that I want to get because one of Brendan's coaches is a financial coach as well, and he has written several books, and there's one, I think it's called Smart Women Are Millionaires or something like that. I can't remember. I can look it up. But one of the things, so I want to read that book. Let's try to download he did say it's in an Audible version. So I'm going to do that. But I am just super freaking excited about things and the way that they're going. While I was getting ready and listening to some of the coaching sessions, I had an aha moment and realized something about myself. I can't remember exactly what the woman's question was, but it had to do with being the type of person that's what it had to do with. It had to do with kind of like imposter syndrome, or it had to do with how do you get over the self-doubt or the negative thinking that you have about, well, how am I going to be a success? There are already people who are doing this and doing it well. It's not new. How can I be successful? And having this self-doubt and actually self-sabotaging and minimizing your ability or your gifts, and prioritizing making other people feel good or feel better, or comforting other people. And somehow it was all brought up. It's like, we do that for other people. Why can we not be cheerleaders for ourselves? And one of the things that was brought up is it's not a bad thing that we want to help people feel better about themselves and be cheerleaders. But we can take a positive characteristic and maybe have learned, maybe we have habits that have not utilized that positive characteristic in a positive way for ourselves. And something that she said made me think back to when I was a child. And I remember it was in kindergarten. I was 5 years old. And I remember there was this little girl. Her name was Laura, and I don't know why she sticks in my head. But I have thought about this little girl often, and I don't know why. She was towhead, just blonde little girl. And I say that I thought of her as a little girl even when I was a little girl. And I remember that she was being bullied because she sucked her thumb. And I remember feeling bad for how they were treating her. And I remember going up to her and saying, I suck my thumb too. It's okay. And thinking about times in my life at that young age where that was just my nature. That was something that I did that nobody taught me to do. I don't remember being taught to do that. And then I think about some of the stories that my mom has told me about when I was little, because, you know, those stories that I told you, why would you tell your child that? And then I'm thinking about it, and it's like, you know, the stories that I told you about how I pushed my biological father out the door and slammed it because he was making my mom cry. And I'm like, you don't make my mom cry. I had to be less than 2 because my sister was not born yet, and my sister's 18 months younger than me. So I already had that protective type of, that's my character. I am a protector. I am a nurturer. That's what I am born to do. It just is in my DNA. And I think about it, I must have been a comfort to my mom. And when she tells me those stories, she wasn't telling me those things to make me feel unwanted. She was telling me those things because she wanted me to know how I protected her and comforted her in a time when, you know, from somebody who I, for all intents and purposes, should have thought of as, you know, a comforter or protector myself, right? And, you know, my dad tells me, and I remember, my dad tells me some stories about me doing the same thing when he was dating my mom, and I know I have done certain things where I stood up against what I would, especially if I was little or whatever, would be, it was kind of like a David and Goliath thing. Like, I was really not the protector type person. person. I was the small one, but I felt like there was injustice going on, and I did not allow. I guess even at those young ages, I felt strong enough about there being an injustice going on, or somebody being hurt that didn't deserve it, that I stepped in and said, that's not right, or what you're doing is not right. And it's like, you need to do it for yourself. You need to mother and nurture yourself. And it just hit me. And it's like all these things that are coming to me, going, you are healing, you are growing, these are your gifts, this is what you have always been, this is what you are meant to do, this is what you were created for. And it's the universe telling me, you are on your path now. You are not being distracted by other people. And in addition to that, the accomplishments that I have made physically, that I never even thought that I could do, because of stories that I told myself of the power of the mind over the body. And me saying things like, when I was younger, I can't, I'm weak, I can't do that, or I can't run that, I'm not physically fit, I can't run that far, or I can't do that. And I was saying that, and my mind believed that, and so my body acted accordingly, because my body does what my mind tells it can and cannot do. And it's like, okay, no, Lorraine, you can do that, because really, is it really that painful when you work out and stuff, compared to the pain that you had while you had your stomach up in your chest all twisted and you were doubled over in pain? Is that pain from working out and being sore and the heavy breathing the equivalent of recovering from surgery? Is that pain the same as when you danced on a broken foot? No. So you can do those things. You are fully capable of doing those things. It was your mind. You were not in the right mindset, and you believed the stories that your mind was telling you, and your body fell in line with what your mind told it. If you tell yourself these stories, the things that you are telling yourself, the thoughts that you have, your internal messages are, you can't do this, you are fat, you are lazy, you are dumb, you are a bad speaker, you are weak, your body will respond in kind. So, if your body responds to your mind and the stories that you tell it, let's tell it positive things. Let's say, you can do this. You can run a marathon. You can be successful. You can retire before you're 60. You can live a life of abundance. You can do anything. You can. And keep telling yourself you can, you will, believe it. Your body will, and not only say it, but take the action that is an alignment. Take the first step, because it's kind of like, this was another one of the things. It's like, thank goodness we didn't have self-doubt when we were children learning to walk. That's what this one says. When we were little toddlers learning how to walk, we fell down hundreds of times before we were able to walk. But we kept getting up because we wanted to walk there. But there was nothing at that point in our psyche and our ego to tell us that we couldn't. So we did it. And we continued to strive to do it even though we fell down, because we still were not telling ourselves that we can't do it. And so now we have to get into the mindset of, I can do it. I may mess up, or it may not be perfect, especially the first few times I try it, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning. And so as I make the effort and attempt to learn, I love to learn. I know I can learn how to do anything, especially if it is something that gets me fired up and passionate and something that brings me joy and happiness. It's like, I know I can do those things. And so I have to keep telling myself, this was not a failure. Just because you fell does not mean that you have to stay down. Just because this way didn't work doesn't mean that another way is not going to work. Just because this person did it that way doesn't mean that that's the way you have to do it. And I know that I have the skills to adapt, to pivot, to look at a big picture and say, okay, these are things that are these are outside forces that are influencing these things, right here. This obstacle that is in front of me, this trial that is in front of me is not just this trial in front of me. There are other things that contributed to that. So stepping back and looking at the big picture and what is it that has contributed to that, and are there things that are further out that I can remove to make that barrier, to minimize that barrier or that obstacle. And instead of being stuck in and seeing, it's kind of like, okay, I am in front of this 50-foot brick wall. That's all I see because I'm right up next to it. But when I step back, I realize that wall doesn't go on forever. And, or maybe that wall is not really a wall. It's a building. It's a side of a building. And all I have to do is go around to get to the other side. Or maybe that wall has a gate or a door or something, or maybe there is a tree that I can climb to get over that wall. Or maybe I know somebody who has a ladder that can help me get over the wall. Instead of focusing on the obstacle in front of me, stepping back and going, okay, what are possible solutions and what are possible contributing factors to this obstacle that I can remove or change? And having that kind of positive problem solving, there is no problem that cannot be solved. I may not know the solution, but I know how to ask questions. I know that there are people who have overcome this obstacle, so I can go to those people and say, how did you do it? You know, what am I missing? I do it every day at work. It's like, if I have a problem, it's like, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? I'll ask somebody else. It's like, do you see this problem? Have you seen it before? Do you see a way out of it? What am I doing incorrectly? You know, or what do I have to do first? Because I know I have to do this thing, but for some reason I can't get to this thing because of the, it's like, I know where I need to be and I know I can do that. I just have to figure out how to get there, right? And so it's just not giving up and being tenacious and motivated. It's like, I really want to get to the other side of that wall. And how gratifying and it will be when I get over that wall, because not only did I prove to myself that yes, you can conquer any obstacle, but not only that, now I have a skill set and some knowledge that I can share with somebody else who comes up against that same obstacle and maybe help their journey be a little bit less difficult. Or, hey, this is going to be challenging. This is how you prepare to face this challenge. There's no way for you to avoid, there's no way for you to avoid this obstacle. And if you want to get here, you have to overcome this obstacle. This is the way I did it. This is the way other people have done it. Here are your options. What is within your capability and what is the best course for you? And then they can decide. But you have done your job in making the resources available to those people who are coming up against those obstacles. It's still their choice. And the thing is you don't allow yourself to get stuck and stay there because you are expending all of your energy helping someone, dragging someone, pushing someone, pulling someone to get over this obstacle if they are not going to help themselves. It's like, okay, I'm here. I'm telling you, I'm going to offer you a hand and help you get up, but I can't do all the work. I've already done the work for myself, and I'm willing to do some work to help you get over it. But if you are not willing to put in at least as much effort as I am, if you're not willing to put in as much effort to get you over this obstacle as I am, it's not my job to get you over that obstacle. And realizing that by continually thinking and living a life where I felt it was my responsibility to keep people from encountering challenges in life or to take those challenges away, what I have done is taken away from them the opportunity of success and feeling confident in their ability to do it. Instead, what I may have been doing is telling them, you can't do for yourself. You have to have somebody do for you. And then what am I going to do if I'm by myself and if there's not anybody to help me? So I may have actually been harming people by doing for them. And that's an aha moment. I mean, anyways, I got to go into work. I love you girls, and let me know about tomorrow.